Welcome back, everybody, to Gringos Liberados. Apologies for the break in service, in broadcast. Unfortunately, I have been messing with my mic and my OBS settings, and we had a technical difficulty, and 4i4's voice was dragged into the void, never to be seen again. So it would not be good to just run an hour 15 of me chatting to myself with 4i4 just kind of nodding along. It's not really good content, I think, so...
No.
So we have fixed it.
Optimized for modern podcasting.
I'm certain it's fixed. I've tested it now, and we've even got another guest on. RMC eludes us once again this week, but we've got AC joining us this split this year in the broadcast. Welcome to your first podcast ever, my friend.
Oh my god, thank you for having me, first and foremost. I hope my voice isn't left in the oblivion like last week's 44's voice. Hopefully everything is fine.
Let's see.
Alright, that sounds good.
It seems
Dimensius is on the loose as of today. Running Riot in Manaforge Omega. So real ball knowers got that one.
It was actually just an advanced marketing activity that audio tracks were being dragged into the void a couple of weeks ago.
I just wanted to address the elephant in the room before we get started. All you see is my picture because I am sweating so much and I look absolutely disgusting under a 38-degree weather.
So I don't feel quite the you're in Europe, AC?
Yeah.
I heard there's quite the heat wave rolling through there right now.
Oh, yeah. I am slowly.
Yeah, slow cooked to perfection in Portugal, unfortunately.
Oh, man.
I am in a nice balmy 26 degrees, which is the most Glasgow can muster, and it's the most I'm okay with personally, so...
that'd be fine, dude.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
So nice. Yeah. For the Americans, by the way, the 38 degrees is like it's like 100 Fahrenheit.
100 something,
100 flat, I believe. So it is crispy.
It's a bit crispy. Right. Let's get into the action here because we have completed the pick and play phase now in split number 3, and fair to say it didn't quite go how we expected. You know, once again, we have once again won the Fell For It Again award, trying to predict the region. We thought that we knew what was going on. And alas, another challenger that has been rising has now just gone straight to the top in this first phase. RED Canids, 3-0, first place, clean, above everyone else. They swept Pain out, harder than almost anyone I've seen do in a long time. And 4x4,
I would say until since the last split finals, that was the last time Pain got digged down this hard. So kind of a little more recently than you'd think.
I guess so, yeah.
They got absolutely mollywopped. I could not believe what I was watching. I was selfishly hoping for a 2-0 because I had a deadline to meet that I won't bore you with the details. So like I was kind of hoping for it, but like I couldn't believe it. Like each time Red got ahead, right? I think I'm just too like I've still got old Red in my head, right? Like, oh, they'll get a lead here. They'll get okay, they got the first 2 objectives. Aegis is 0-0-0, but like, hey, 2 dragons and some void grubs, and then they're probably gonna win this Herald fight because Greftar's not getting schmanged yet, right? Brunsey and Frosty have run into a solo kill in the bot lane. FNB, got a little help. I don't know. And then they just kind of kept on going. They played really good League of Legends, and it wasn't just the Kaze show. That was like the thing for me, because I hadn't actually casted any of Red's games this split up until this past weekend. So that was my first time actually getting to watch them live. And against Pain, right? Against what some might argue is the best team still. I mean, it's just incredible. But the biggest takeaway for me, and the reason I'm the most happy about this, is especially with Loud kind of sputtering, to put it mildly.
You leave Loud out of your mouth.
Look, we'll get to Loud, all right? We have birthed a new Loud stan in this split, but we'll get to them.
But we have a legitimate top 3 now.
Yes.
And that is very, very exciting, right? I mean, we were, I really do think that we are blessed to even have a top 2, given how, given the Loud of it all in the last kind of few years.
Yeah.
But, and that the other second team was FURIA, right? And like, we're not even talking about them. Now, I can't remember last time we actually had a deep dive on FURIA, except for that first series. But no, man, just really awesome stuff from Red. And again, it seems like everybody is contributing. Frosty's playing out of his mind right now. He has had some really good series, and FNB looks like he's back. Or he's playing more consistently, which to me has, I think for everybody, has always been the rub with FNB. You never doubt the talent, you never doubt the ceiling, but it's always been the consistency. And he's gotten more and more inconsistent as kind of Red fell apart at the seams. Yeah. And so it's good to see him have just like put together like 3 solid best of 3s in a row.
Yeah, I think he maybe felt the strain of I think he was trying to hero carry every game, basically, because the rest of the comms and the messaging was clearly confused before, and that led to him still performing very well individually, but like the team fight and the decision making that had always been a bit of a problem for him, as you say, it started to really crack in that previous version. But now he's got a bit of breathing room. He's just thriving up there, doing what he needs to do, and doesn't have to fix the entire map. But AC, you don't have quite as much of the same baggage that we do when we think about Red, when we think about Pain. No. What is your read on this series of Red's dominant 2-0?
Man, Red's dominant. The Red 2-0, looking from an outside perspective, I didn't expect much coming into this split from Pain, honestly. I don't know why. It just felt like the team was going on a lower lull from the offseason. They didn't feel great on playoffs as well. And since they didn't really participate in many international events after Split 2, you'd expect them to have time to train, but at the same time, if they didn't get in the proper games against the proper teams, they didn't really get any time to develop their solo work. And at the end of the day, you're left with a team that's kind of dismembered, especially compared to FURIA. When you're talking about a team that's participated in MSI and on another world-class tournament. And RED Canids, on the other hand, absolutely flawless so far. I mean, they lost a couple of games against one of them was, if I'm not mistaken, against Loud, right? Or, no, they didn't even get
both their first two series were 2-1s. They 2-1. They even went 2-1 against Isurus, who are now in sixth,
exactly,
and just got clapped by Loud. So
yeah. So one thing about the RED Canids is that I look at them and I see their games. They look really consistent, but there is, I don't know, there's something about Doom, about the way that he decides to circle around the map that really doesn't rub me the right way, and it kind of feels like if he flounders a little bit too much, the rest of the team kind of goes after him. And that's how they lose those individual games. But ultimately, I feel like they're a nice, consistent package moving into the elimination stage.
Yeah, I mean, I think Doom was always the biggest question mark. Maybe arguably Rebello as well as a promoted AD carry. But any ball knowers from CD knew that Rebello was at least good. RMC was very confident in this guy, and we can see why. But Doom, we had seen before, and we'd seen that in the previous Red that completely flopped. And it was like, well, does this guy have it? Is he good enough to be here? Does he need a bit more time to grow in second tier? And there was a worry that was going to be the case in the first couple of series. It did kind of look like that was still the case, but today in the series versus Pain, he was absolutely stunning. Like this is a fresh new Doom, a new peak for this guy, and it's good to know that we have the peak in there. We've seen the peaks from Kaze, we know FMB and Frosty can do it. We've seen them for Bello now, and now we've seen it from Doom. That was like the last piece for me. Is Doom can step into a series against Karaoke, against one of, if not the GOAT jungler from this region, and perform this well, then like that's one more doubt kind of ticked off. Like, I don't think Doom is necessarily the best jungler already, but I don't think he's better than Tattoo, but he's got the ceiling that he needs to have for them to actually be part of that top 3, as you said, 404.
That makes sense, yeah. But then again, my top 3 is a little bit more shifted because I became a massive fan of Griffin. As a jungler main, I really like the way the man played, and that man belongs to Loud. Yeah. And Loud have had not a great splits because they always look promising.
It's getting there. It's coming together a bit.
Yeah, they're slow starters. They got it off in the wrong foot, but they slowly but surely got their head in the game. They were looking at two new players joining. The Jewel and Griffin were the two mainstays that came in. We also had international casters and analysts looking at Griffin from an outside perspective, thinking, "Oh man, we're gonna follow this player because he's gonna deliver." And I mean, he delivered sometimes. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. It's that consistency. It's that learning to play with the rest of the squad, There
was an 06 Jarvan game or two this split, We
don't talk about those. Listen.
So like, because before our, we had a copium top 3, which was Furia, Pain, and then what about Loud? Maybe Loud's in the top 3, guys. This was preseason when we were getting really excited. And then that kind of dropped away. Now we've got a top 3 that includes Red, and we've got Loud and VKS still kind of on the outside looking in, but if we, I guess just to quickly wrap up on Pain before we can talk about Loud after that, is 404, when it comes to Pain, because we saw them beat Furia, and, it was a 2-1, but it was a good series by them, and they come in here, is this now an inconsistency problem with Pain? Are they now just having complete massive off days, or Is it kind of FURIA that had the off day before when they lost it to Pain? Like, I'm struggling to put these ones in order now with a result like this.
No, honestly, same. And I hate to be offensive, but I really do think it's both, because I think in the series against, when Pain and FURIA faced off, FURIA just were so uncharacteristic, right? Basically, like, I feel like all of Split 2, at least I'll speak from my perspective, I was waiting for FURIA to hit that oops, right? Trip over themselves a little bit, right? And just like, it's sort of how I'm feeling about Red right now, honestly, or at least how I felt until they 2-0'd Pain, of like, no, surely they will regress at some point, right? Like, my mental prediction was, this is where the fun stops for Red. I was expecting a Pain 2-0, right? And again, selfishly, I was hoping for a 2-0 of some kind, but then you get, but then Karaoke just like, he's just absent.
He's always Karaoke has been the one that's always had the offest of off days in this roster, right? He's been the one that when those loud finals, sometimes he just completely fell into the dirt and just disappeared, right? Like, he's had those days.
Yeah. No, and I mean, look, the whole team was kind of but Karaoke, like, if you're just gonna get like, look, and this is no disrespect to Doom, because he played a really good game. I don't want to take anything away from him, but Karaoke put up no resistance.
Yeah,
there was nothing. No. Doom, it felt like again, the vision setups were good by Red. I kind of noticed that, like, oh, they are just first to every single objective. They had, like, Pain had to fight into them every single time, and sometimes their comp didn't. It wasn't like the optimal way to play that, right? Sometimes their comp wanted to play them a little more backwards, but no, Red ran that game. And for Pain, I mean, I can't sit here and say now that you are, the best team, right? Or even arguably the best team right now on the current basis of things, right? You beat FURIA, congrats. They kind of had a bit of a mare, right? They had a couple of oopsie moments, and Pain, if you aren't going to show up against the best teams consistently, right? Admittedly, a very inconsistent region, but you're supposed to be. This was the super team, right? This is the promised one, right? You got an import to get Brazilian residency, so you could get another import.
Yeah,
you got 3 Koreans on this roster, for crying out loud. You've got a T1 Academy support. You've got the best AD carry in the
issue. I feel like that's the issue in of itself, because Karaoke was kind of jungling. Like, I believe that there could be language barriers amongst these players. If you look at it, Karaoke's jungling again for 2 solo laners that don't speak the same language.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe. They've
all been speaking English for a long.
Yeah,
for sure.
Because Romer's been
that's
on
the only
TL,
thing, right?
Yeah, Weiser probably speaks passable Brazilian on comms at this point. The guy is naturalized for sure and definitely speaks good English. So like, they've been so consistent and so cohesive, I should say, in the past. Like, it felt like they knew how they wanted to play, and I worry that, like, when they were getting hands checked pretty hard by Red a lot, because Red has phenomenal hands right now, and it seemed like they weren't able to. I guess for me, I'd rather ascribe it more to Red not leaving the door open in the way that other teams do.
Red played a near flawless game.
Like, because Pain are always, they're great mistake punishers, as Loud always in their previous version always were, right? And like, even if they would get hands checked a little bit at the start, Brazilians very handsy, like early on, they would be able to find a way back in, but Red just like didn't do anything silly, and they
were all gas. No
normally
breaks,
we just do silly things until the game ends. Like, that's kind of what we normally do down here. That's what VKS has been doing. That's what Lev and Fluxo are doing. Like, Red just didn't mess up.
Yeah.
Very disconcertingly.
And Pain didn't really like find any way to create chaos in the match in a way that they could maybe grasp at the game. They were always waiting for that mistake, and I guess that was their major issue.
Yeah,
because when it came time to actually create or attempt to contest plays against Red, they were just a little too far behind.
And they run into the vision problem that you mentioned 4x4, and then Red is always like, no, we're not gonna like let you set up and try and disrupt her. We're just gonna turn on you now because we've got the vision. We're stronger than you. We're gonna out hands check you again. And they just dive on them and kill them. It was so cleanly done. Anyway, so Pain, again, the questions are now rising again for them, and we'll get RMC's take of the Discord for this, because he's surely not going to be enjoying that one. But Red, we are very excited to have a top 3. I'm very excited for that. Let's talk about Loud, though. Let's talk about Loud, because they finally put the 2-0 together. We finally stopped looking good and losing the series. ISG crumbled 2 sub 30-minute games, and AC, as we've said, you are a budding Loud fan already. Griffin has got you in the door, and now how are we feeling about Loud now that we've got a double?
I like me a good underdog. You know, I love a good underdog story. And I feel like Loud have been having to short end the stick for a little too long. You know, from the beginning of the split, I've been accompanying Loud's games because I've always loved the team. I mean, especially the name. I mean, it's Loud. They want to be loud. They want to be showboaty. But you just weren't seeing that, and everybody it's the every single series they've had this split so far. It's the kind of series like you said, you praise them for how well they play, but they just can't land the 2-0 until they do. And they do it with such poise, with such style. They were doing it against Azurus. Sure, it's Azurus, but if anyone watches any of Azurus' games, you know that they always hover Pike. Ackerman always hovers Pike. That guy, I don't know what the thing is about that champion. He always hovers Pike. And then you see Loud play game 2 against Azurus.
Yeah.
And there they go. They hover Pike. But all of a sudden, picks swap over to Loud. Loud insta-locks Pike. And you're like, wait, this isn't a hover anymore. He called him out on it.
That is like the most Loud thing to do, is to check like the joke cover and just windmill slam it and then beat you on it pretty hard. Like, that is a very Loud thing to do. And I think it's so funny just to reference, like you said, we love an underdog. Loud, the famous underdog team. They've had to spend a whole year not winning every title that could possibly be won. But that's the thing, they do feel like underdogs again. I don't know why. They shouldn't. They're still like one of the most winningest orgs that has ever been, and especially wins over years, the most successful by time. But like, they just feel like underdogs, and it feels like you want to get behind them again. And it took 1 year, and it's crazy how they've done that.
No, it feels like we're being gaslit.
It does.
It feels
like I want to come along for the ride, you know.
They're just chill guys, man.
They're just chill.
I also want to highlight the Griffin tweet of the week, where some Loud influencer, right? Some beautiful woman posted just like a selfie of herself on on Twitter of her in a Loud jersey, and he just responds, and it gets like almost as many likes as the original post, right? And he goes, "Have you heard about Jungle Mbessa?" Just like sliding into this girl's DMs like that. Like,
the thing is, dude,
the branding is really strong and really
good. Yeah. And it's the creativity. You just reminded me why I love them. It's the creativity. I like off-pocket picks like that, and the man just brought Mbessa Jungle twice, and both times he did it, he performed.
He was like really
well. Yeah. He was. Game 1, he actually lost. Like the first time he
but he was like 9-4-7 or something.
It was not his fault.
Yeah.
He was doing massive. I think it was 9-6 by the end of the match, but on this one, it was like Mbessa. You see the Mbessa, you see the drafts, how the draft is going. You see Azurus kind of draft a little bit conservatively because they're like, okay, this is Mbessa. It's probably going top, right? But you knew in the back of your mind that thing was going into the jungle. It was going straight into Griffin's hands, and it did. And it did exactly the same thing. It absolutely destroyed the jungle.
I really like that we have another player who, especially in jungle, you don't often see like a jungler with specialist pool and pocket picks. Normally the jungle role tends to kind of return to the mean quite often, but you see like,
don't put it like that.
You have like players like APA who do this stuff in mid lane in the LTA North, and like you have players with signature picks, but I feel like the jungle doesn't often end up materializing in pro play. But Griffin has Volibear, which is, right now it certainly is it's not a common
it's still
pick.
Weird.
It's still a pocket for him.
Volibear might be the strongest jungler in the game.
And then the Mbessa as well. He's got 2 pockets that he's willing to just pick until you stop him. And so far, no one has realistically been able to stop him. Both the Mbessa games have been great. The Volibear game was great as well. Like, I love that we have this coming out the jungle. I love that we have like players who can still just play like Sedge, Wukong, Jarvan, whatever. But they also have this like draft warping impact that you cannot ignore. I really love that we have that, and especially in the jungle, like I said, 'cause I just don't think we see it too much.
Yeah,
anymore.
no, absolutely. It's just the fact that the jungle over time just became this central role that has to be mathematically perfectly played, or else you're hindering and setting back the whole team. And everybody knows that this is true. Yeah. But every so often you get this one jungler that just does things the way he wants to do and not the way he's told to do them. And it makes a lot of difference. And that's why you just can't stop rooting for Loud. And that's why they also feel like the underdog. Because you see these things and you're like, there's no way this team's a professional team, right? But they are. And they're so good at subverting expectations.
Yeah. So they sadly couldn't make it into upper bracket. They do end up 5th, so they still don't get their second life. They're going to have to scrap it out through the lower bracket if they want a chance to make top 3.
I'm ready for it.
Yeah, but if we touch on ISG briefly, they have now dropped to 6th, and their season has kind of fallen apart. They beat Fluxo, but besides that, they were pretty hopeless against Red, which, in hindsight, not that of a much of a hit to your reputation, but the Loud series as well.
And they took them 2-1.
Yeah, exactly, right?
So
everyone beat Fluxo. What are we talking about?
Yeah, and then but ISG, it does feel like the new solo laners have settled down to a pretty low point, and they're struggling against most of their opponents. Snaker and Ackerman do seem to be doing regular season Snaker and Ackerman, not playoff Snaker and Ackerman. And Hauz, unfortunately, our boy just seems like he's kind of lost in a pool of iniquity.
It's the Wukong. They force him to play the Wukong, and he can't do anything because he's relying on the team to hold the early game, and they just can't.
The team just can't hold themselves together to a point where he's able to really make a difference right now, it seems, which is, we've seen this before from him in previous IE with the original Birdall, and when they were struggling to get their solo laners in check and bot lane was still a problem. It's worse now, it feels like to me, honestly, unless these solo laners really start to pick up, because this is going to be a bit tough for them, sadly. It opens up the demotion question once again that 4i4 has been keeping us abreast of, that again, it's like, this does not feel like a good sign. Like, CD's looking pretty good, man. There's a lot of fighters down there, a lot of sharks on the way up, not to kind of take Isras's namesake away, but they don't look like the shark in this equation. Like, it's...
No, they look like a guppy, man.
Yeah, they're looking very guppified, unfortunately, so it's not looking great for them.
I feel like I want to say, like, it's a draft issue for the most part. Like, their draft seems solid, but if you look at the individual games, you see high-tempo junglers like the Wukong guy, I would say, is a kind of high-tempo jungler. He wants to get to level 6, he wants to get that Trinity Force. Then you see Xin Zhao, you see Lee Sin, Poppy, Vi, Trundle. These are all champions that require a little bit of setup as well to maximize their potential, but they just decide to lock in scaling individual lanes, and most of the times you kind of have to abandon top and mid to focus on bot. Jose Dioto just can't really handle a 3v2 at this point. It's just not healthy for jungle to be 3v2ing.
I
in the current meta,
I don't think mid and top can be left to their own devices right now. At least not on the opponents they face. To be fair, Red, Hands Checkers United, and then Loud with Robo, particularly on top side. You cannot leave this guy sort of unchecked. And then Jewel has had his ups and his downs, but he had a good series there. It showed that there definitely is power there to bring to bear. And obviously, with them paired up with Griffin, there's a very strong mid jungle there. So I don't know. Yeah, it feels like these aren't great matchups for ISG. At least they beat Fluxo. Like they got the freebie win, but.
It's like they have good ideas, they just don't have the right ideas for the current time. And I've seen time and time again, watching several international leagues, that the teams that win aren't usually the favorites. It's just the teams that adapt the better, or those that adapt best. Because you might start off the season with a great idea on how you want to play the game, but every 2 weeks the meta kind of shifts around, and you need to constantly be adapting. Some players just like to be stuck in their own thing, and honestly, like you said, for jungle, for the last few months, I would say, you're kind of locked into these fighting junglers, and not a lot of organics have been swapping around. But when it comes to the rest of the individual lanes, it does make a difference if your team can't really adapt to them. And you see the proof of that in Azura's, where they started off the season kind of okay, but as the meta shifted and progressed, I don't know, it just didn't feel like they caught up with it.
Yeah. Don't think they have the best versatility from what we've seen from the players. Their strengths are pretty narrow. So it's going to be a tough lower bracket for them. We'll quickly checking who their actual first round is. Their first round opponent is Lev. Now, we'll get onto Lev in a bit, because that's an interesting series to cover. But so before we do Lev, let's quickly touch on FURIA VKS, because I think this is a relatively simple one. 2-1 for FURIA. They're still not, the fact that VKS got a win, I think, is a good start for a good point for VKS, and maybe even another question for FURIA, that they are still not quite, they've not gone to international and then returned as the ascendant, clear favorites that are just bodying everyone with their newfound knowledge. FURIA definitely still have holes to exploit, and VKS are still shown an improvement with the Mirror swap. You know, we knew this was going to be good for them, and it certainly has been. But for VKS initially, like they're now. They made it to top 4. They actually ended up 3rd because of Pain's struggles at the end there. So they are going to go again, I think, against FURIA again in the first round. But they were going against because
VKS are going off against FURIA.
Yeah, because Red just took Pain because they were like, that's easy mode.
Yeah, Red were like, we just smacked these guys with one hand behind
I'll
our
do it
back.
again.
Let's do it again. Exactly.
Yeah. So they're going to have FURIA again, and I guess what's your take on that on VKS from that series, especially if they have to go up against FURIA again? Like, do we think there's a chance for them to actually take the next one, or is it just is not there
I mean,
yet?
I still do think that these two teams are kind of on different levels right now. You know, like I think, you know, if FURIA is, you know, in your A or S tier, then I think you would put Keyd at the top of whatever tier is below that. I think there is just a cut above. I will say though, I think the mid lane matchup got a little more interesting because Miru to me has been just really, really consistent.
Yeah.
Tuts has had some less than whelming performances.
That wasn't his best series, no, that's for sure.
No, I'm not going to say bad because I don't actually think it was bad, but it felt like he was the one kind of weighing his team down. That being said, it was still fine. It was good enough to get the job done, right? Like Keyd aren't some pushover squad.
Yeah.
But Miru's playing his buns off, man. Miru he's him. I think that acquisition, home run. Whoever was involved in getting that over the line, congratulations. You know, they should get a bonus.
Yeah, love that.
So I think that could be a really, really interesting kind of pivot point for this series. But that being said, I'd give me FURIA 3-1. Yeah.
I think that's probably reasonable in the next time they see each other. AC, how do you feel about VKS and for FURIA as well? Because you don't have as much, like I say, it's not baggage for FURIA, but it's like ingrained hype for FURIA, where I probably am going to lag behind. If they do start to play worse, I'll see it slower because I want them to be good.
No, and I think that's a reasonable assessment. I feel like the series might be closer than you think. Just because of the scaling of a best of 5 and the implications in the champion pool. Just to think about the fact that if you're going to game 3 already, like you're already not seeing 30 champions down that pool, and we're gonna start seeing a lot of picks that if we think these players get uncomfortable in the best of 3, think about a best of 5. It is going to be very very interesting to see what the picks. We obviously are probably going to see a lot of pocket picks coming out, but Vivo Keyd stars, I don't know. I feel like in the mid game or early game, I guess LTA South, from what I've learned so far, is that the early game is very predictable, in which not a lot of things happen. There's a lot of macro going around. Obviously, when you say there's nothing happening, it's in terms of executions and actual plays happening. But Vivo Keyd stars, I feel like they are one of the more creative squads when it comes to enable plays, I feel like. From what I've seen this split so far, this squad is really, really good at enabling weird plays from weird angles. And I feel like if FURIA are not ready enough for this kind of adaptation, the series might get a little bit too long for them. You know, that might be worrisome.
I do think both these teams could cook, though. I am excited to see both
maybe.
These teams
FURIA can for sure cook with pockets.
5.
Like FURIA has pockets, and I think the VKS obviously has a. VKS tends to draft more standard meta, but they will know how to get the best out of it, right? I have the faith in the coach.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I think that's their 100%. That's their strength, and I think that maybe FURIA or Keyd maybe envision themselves as a team that can cook with pocket picks, but like I think it would have to be like a very specific thing. It's like CL is not afraid to bust that out, but it would have to be the perfect spot for it. Like, and even then, it sometimes doesn't work.
It's like the Bowl Aurelia maybe is what we see coming out, or we could see like
Samus
go to more carries.
What I would do for Bowl Aurelia.
Yeah,
I'd get arrested. What
would you do?
I would do for both. I'd get arrested for some of them.
Please,
for legal reasons, I cannot put it on the internet.
Yeah, like because we know that Samus, if they unleash this guy, he can go to Lee Sin, he can go to Lilia, he can get more carries. Where it's now become very like bridge jungler heavy. He's got range. The top lane definitely has. There's always carries. I think there's easier to pocket pick a carry right into like a very spicy matchup. So Bull maybe can try and do that. Gigo, it must be said, is playing absolutely phenomenally right now. So it's a very tough one. It's always going to be hard for him, but we shall see. I want to give a quick shout out to Morteus.
Gangplank against Pain.
Yeah. Gigo has been he's played Azir top. He's played Gangplank again. Like he has always got something weird to bring out. But quick, credit to Morteus for that Varus game in the middle. Like, this guy certainly still is legit, and it's VKS will always have a win condition down there now. And I think you're right, AC, of what you said about the way that VKS can craft a play. I think it should be very good with the coaching staff they have, with Trimby now on the roster. They should be able to use that pairing to craft interesting plays that can actually get an advantage. It's taken them a while, but it feels like we're starting to get there now, and hopefully they can get there in time to give us some juice in playoffs. Even if they don't beat Furia, I think there's probably still a good chance of them taking some wins in lower bracket after. So we shall see how that progresses. Now, the last match we saw is Lev Fluxo, and I said it on the pod that went into the void. I said it on the cast just to make sure. I put it in the Discord before the game started to make sure that I backed it up and put it in before the match started. That was my week to step out and put my neck on the line for Leviathan, and they paid me off. They paid my dividends.
And Hauz specifically.
Hauz had his day. Finally.
Hauz kind of played a blinder, man.
It has been a shocker up to this point for Hauz, and that day was a blinder, and I was here for it. I was very, very pumped to see it go down. It's exactly what should happen with some of these players. Hauz should be able to put up numbers like this. Sayo should be able to carry late games like this. Scary should be able to enable his whole team like this. This is what they're supposed to be good at, and they finally actually showed up on the day and were good at it. Against Fluxo, big caveat, big asterisk.
Gigantic asterisk.
Fluxo. But
listen,
they finally
when you get
did
the
it,
1-to-1 odds, I don't know, man.
And I'm happy.
You get the 1-to-1 odds. You know, you're betting on this. You're betting on this team guarantee that they're gonna lose. Like, yeah, my prediction was right. Let's go, dude. Everyone knew what's gonna happen.
Look, if you check the Twitch chat for every Leviathan game, they certainly didn't know it was going to happen, and I'll take my win over Twitch chat every day of the week. You know, that's one thing that I'll take with me. But like I'd said it then. I think people were too harsh on Leviathan before. There were obvious sparks and moments of being able to do the right thing. They were vastly underperforming. They finally managed to show us that at the very least, they can do it. It's not going to be a repeat of last split where nothing that should be good works. Everything turns to dust when it should be good. Like this at least gives me some hope that they can have a decent best of 5 with whoever they're running into.
Sure, man. It's okay, you know? Trajan. This one I believe is going to be 3-1 against Azures. Don't worry about it.
Like
this one I believe the 3-1. They might nab a game from Missouri, but the other 3 go straight to the Shark Boys.
We got an LLA derby. Let's go. I didn't.
Bro, it's just it's unfortunate for Liz that we get the team kill that early, but also they're both in the bin and in the lower bracket, so it's kind of their own fault.
What is kind of crazy is that if Isurus lose this. This will be the last game they play until they're fighting for their lives in the promotion tournament.
That's crazy, dude. They're gonna be sitting on their butts for that long.
Yeah, you've got just like weeks to just sit on your hands and just do nothing but stare at the ceiling and reckon with your own mortality.
And if they lose to Lev, especially if it's not close, like if it's not a 3-2, then there gonna be serious questions about that promotion series, man. That is gonna be dangerous waters for sure. Now, we're not covering it. So obviously this weekend is not the lower bracket, it's only upper bracket, so we won't be doing predictions. That'll be next week's podcast for those matchup. But I want it known that I will be predicting Lev to win that series, and I will be standing on business all the way through that because that's where I'm at right now. So
how much copium did you have, homie?
Listen, right? Feel free to check the predictions and the fact that I got every single one of them right and the fact that I'm topping fantasy. Feel free to check the tapes if you would like to question
You're
if
only
I know
topping
ball.
because I didn't play.
Trajan, when he has receipts, is little bit insufferable.
I think so.
The man has a little folder in his computer with all the receipts from everything he's ever said.
I think quite possibly.
Gotta keep him around, man.
Yeah, so in this series, I think Fluxo did look pretty hopeless, and the biggest downside here is that Fuuu looked particularly bad, and that's the stinger, I think.
No, and that like kind of going back to something you said earlier, right? About Lev was like, oh, you could always see, the moments. You could see the Hauz gets a solo kill, right? You can see like, oh, CEO has a good moment here and there, right? The solo laners are looking better. With Fluxo, I'm kind of thinking back. I don't think I'll be able to put
There wasn't really a moment.
my finger to any moment where you're like, oh, hold up. No, there was none of that, like you said. And Fuuu, our sweet, perfect baby boy, he's not gonna have the most elo held player award anymore, dude, because he's just it's like he's part of the problem now. He's like Fluxo have just looked lifeless. Dude.
It's fine. Fuuu is to Fluxo what Toplop is for Leviathan. Don't worry about it.
Look, Toplop
Toplop came in with a lot of hype behind him. And what has he been doing?
He has been sending it on repeat.
Down range? Yeah, sure, man.
And I would argue that someone else has been sending it is Pro Delta with far less success than Toplop has. So there is still a greater sender than Toplop, but I think that is because that's what Lev had. Lev had Pro Delta before. They had the ultimate send it guy, but there's at least enough of a backing behind it, and maybe it's just that they're able to communicate with and around Toplop better, is that it works better now. It could be as simple as that, but ultimately they both are fulfilling pretty similar functions, I think, which is being fight starters and playmakers.
Yeah, but the thing about starting fights is to stay alive during the fight so that you can actually do something about it, not just immediately get bombed in the beginning of the fight and you leave your team fighting 4v5 most of the times, you know?
Yeah, and against...
Also, don't fight for every single ward, please!
Leviathan did have a comp that our RMC was like, this is how Leviathan should play this game, they should go for picks, they should do this, team fight's not the game here, and they just got a lead and then just chest bumped 5v5 into Fluxo on repeat until they won. And it worked, but it did make the fights of the game, especially in game 2, messier than it needed to be, and it did look like you're further ahead than this. You shouldn't be winning like 2 for 4. You should be acing them. And I think there was like, if that's against Pain will completely ram that down their throat, and Lev will get completely destroyed if they try and pull that business against the better team. So certainly still some issues to be working on.
Maybe having your most picked champions be Nautilus and Rakan, maybe that's not the way to go in all circumstances, you know. Maybe
Nico, perhaps. I liked his Nico game mostly, so maybe a bit more Nico.
You know, he played Nico once this split, I think.
Yeah, he's played once, and that was the VKS game. That was like they were just both teams just throwing back and forth until the game ended and VKS won it. It was not a good game by either team, I think. And Leviathan did have, like to what you'd said before, there wasn't really a moment where Fluxo seemed to have really achieved much of anything. In game 1, there were a couple of like Leviathan, what are you doing? Kind of like, what was that kind of decisions? But that's not Fluxo. That's unless they're mind controlling. It's just Leviathan being a pretty rough team still. So I don't know.
They got their warts, but if you're looking for like, I mean, I think this Fluxo series came at like the absolute perfect time for Leviathan, right? Talk about a confidence builder. Going into a do or die matchup against your LLA rivals, right? You're feeling pretty good about what just happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You look at it that way, but at the same time, they come into the match knowing, hey, everybody's raffles on Fluxo so far. What if we lose?
Yeah.
Man, we really they didn't, you know, but the mentality.
Yeah.
No, I mean, look, but I don't think that like Isurus are like, I mean, they're a tier better than Fluxo, obviously, but they're not like 2 tiers better than Fluxo.
Are they not?
I don't think so.
I feel like they are.
I think you just got. I don't know, man. Like I'm willing to throw. Like I think the only thing that Isurus have going for them is that they took Red to 3 games.
Yeah,
but even then, like I think that was a less polished version of Red.
Fluxo also took them to 3 games. So
very good point. Very good point. You know what? When you put it that way. Yeah, no, I think this will be a. I think this will be a very even matchup with 2 teams on opposite trajectories. I could see this series going any way. Again, we'll do kind of like more deep dive in next week because these games aren't this weekend. Yeah. But I think this series is tough to call.
Yeah, for sure. But I will be calling Lev. But it is tough.
Everyone is zeros.
Except for Trey.
Yeah.
Everyone is zeros.
Yeah, okay. Right, let's take a quick check-in on Fantasy before we look at next week. Now, we don't have to linger on this too long, but
Actually, because I had no idea this was a thing.
It just must be said. It must be done. It must be reported to the people that I am now 20 points clear in first. And that's a W. The Madhouse.
Because I wasn't playing.
Well, yeah. I got up and I
Wow.
filled in my roster. I filled the minimum requirement to achieve the points scored. So, you know, that's a W for me once again, you know.
And did you use all LTA South players?
Yes, I am still LTA South
King!
Up the wazoo.
King!
So to pull the curtain back slightly, the reason I'm up here is largely because I have Rebello and Kaze when no one else was picking red because they were against Pain. And now I was going to keep Kaze, but I was planning on swapping Rebello out, and I was either swapping like Rebello or I don't even remember who my support is. Somebody, but like so they're now top lop.
Wow.
I swapped in top lop on support because I thought Lev was going to win, and I was going to bet on Lev, and I put my money where the mouth is, and that worked out really well. But I'd also was going to maybe put Sayo in because I was like, I think Leviathan is going to win. I think Red is going to get O2'd, and I think this is where the gravy train stops. But I left Rebello in semi by accident, and he went like 14-1-9 and 5-0-7 or something. It was crazy from him once again into Titan Curry. Like, nobody would have called it. There was no reason for anyone to call this happening, but that was an absolute crazy turn up for that. So I you know, I'll take my flowers by force. I will snatch my flowers from everybody, but it was a slight accident that Rebello was in there, so I have to own it up, you know. And I still have Griffin in jungle as well, AC. To extend the hand of friendship, I do have Griffin jungle, and I've had it from week 1. So can we agree on that?
I knew it.
Can we at least agree on that? Yeah.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're actually welcome. Whatever, man.
Yeah, sure. Okay, right. So let's take a look at next week's matches, or this week's matches. So first, it's FURIA VKS. Again, it's the same. They're both runbacks again, because Red chose their opponent, they chose the one they just smashed. Makes sense to me. So, FURIA VKS, we've touched on this already a little bit. Does anyone want to, at the very least, I guess we had a 3-1 tentative from you, I think, was it 4-4, thinking a 3-1?
Yeah.
AC, what is your heart telling you when it comes to this? Do you think VKS are going to be able to steal some more games? Do you think we're still just going to have a pretty conclusive FURIA?
I think VKS might be able to take the series, right? You know? Because FURIA, sometimes it feels like FURIA, like I've been keeping up with FURIA ever since MSI, and FURIA have a very specific type of gameplay where they are very momentum driven. If they're ahead, there's nothing that can realistically stop them because they just find plays out of are we PG? Doesn't matter. So they just find plays out of nowhere.
Everyone gets one. That's how we usually play.
No, it's okay. I'm not going to remind it. I'm going to leave it for a special opportunity. No, but FURIA just pull plays out of thin air, and it's amazing when they're ahead. But it does feel, as a squad, that they get tremendously flustered if they get slightly behind. They have a hard time finding creative plays. They have a hard time contesting objectives, and it just feels like a death by 1,000 cuts. And it's just not a fun game to watch when FURIA are behind. I feel like that's been the case ever since MSI when I started actually watching them play, and I kind of feel like it's been the case this split so far. While Vivo Keyd stars, even though they're behind, they're still trying to find plays with Disamis and Mireo. Like you said, it's an incredible jungle mid duo. And I feel like it might give some problems to Tuts and Tatu, who you also said Tuts was not having a great split.
It's not his best, that's for sure. I think his first 2 weeks were good for Tuts, but I think last week particularly he suffered into Mirio. And Mirio, I think, just is that guy. I think I agree that FURIA, we spoke about this last week on the last episode, 4x4 and I, that FURIA, we have been shielded from the reality of how often they get themselves into bad situations by how they're able to wiggle their way out of them so impressively sometimes against worse teams. Whether it's like they will scrap the way out of an impossible 5v5 where they're completely split, they're in the wrong position, somehow they make it work. And in all the before the dust has settled and we're still excited about how they managed to win the fight, the question needs to be asked as to why were they there in the first place? Why were they even in this spot? They should be better than this. And against Pain, we saw that where a better team will not let them get away with it. And VKS is rapidly becoming that better team that might actually be able to hold them back when they actually when they either put FURIA or FURIA put themselves in a bad spot, whichever happens, because both has been known to occur. So
yeah, but just to round up my point, basically, even though I find it hard to believe that Vivo Keyd might take the series, I still think that this should be a series to go to 5 games at the very least. I can't really hold a prediction here, but I feel like 5 games would be fair.
Yeah. I think I'm definitely still taking FURIA. I think it is. I guess I'm just not really sure how I'm trying to work out where they're going to be, what state they're going to be in, you know? I think 3-2 might be reasonable, actually. I think 3-2 FURIA might be reasonable, just because I want to give the VKS scouting the benefit of the doubt, especially now that they've just had a series right against them. Both of these teams acknowledge the value of preparing for a specific opponent. They have said as much in interviews, and that has been the downfall of VKS in the past. And has been acknowledged by CL, so I think they will be preparing for FURIA particularly very closely, because it has been a sticking point for them. So I still think FURIA's going to win. I'll give it 3-2, but yeah, I think this could be a more interesting series than maybe some would expect.
Now, 44 has been pondering this whole time. The man's about to drop some massive knowledge bomb on us. Go on, 40. What you got for us?
I think it's sort of like I said. Like, I think FURIA, to me, they're a cut above. I'm not going to say anything kind of that I haven't said before. I do think the mid lane matchup could be kind of swingy, but I just don't see Keyd winning 3 games before I see FURIA winning 3 games. Yeah. I really do not see it. I think FURIA, their ceiling is higher. Because I feel like we have seen the FURIA ceiling this split. Keyd, whatever ceiling I think they have, either they haven't hit it or it just doesn't exist. Right? I haven't I've seen Keyd be like good, solid, top 4. Congrats. That's kind of about it. They feel like the gatekeepers.
Yeah, we'll see if Miryu, maybe Mortius, maybe if it always comes down to Bowl with me and VKS. If Bowl can actually survive Gigo, that's the pivot for me. Like, if we get to game 5 and Bowl still has a champion to play and can actually go even, cool. If he doesn't, I worry for the boy, because I think that Gigo might mess him up.
Yes, like you said, especially into Gigo, and he's been great this split.
Okay. Pain and Red, one that, again, do we think that we're going to get a different result this time? Do we think that Pain are going to go home, shake it off, actually come back better? Or has Red just completely, is the dominance going to continue? We're going to go to quick 3-0 instead of a 2-0, 4-4. Do we think that Pain is going to... Do we have some work to do? Are we going to achieve something here in this week and come back stronger, or is it...
I think they have to. Otherwise, I think...
they have to.
The structural integrity of Pain's office building is on the line.
The fans outside might
get a bit rabid. Man, is gonna get ugly. Yeah, they were not happy this past weekend. I don't know. I mean, I don't even know how to predict this series. But I don't think it'll be a red 3-0. Like, no. Yeah, I would.
You don't?
Surely not.
No. Like, there's no way, right? Like, if they don't beat Pain 5 times in a row. Right, that's loud. That's Loud's
Only
job.
Loud beats Pain. 7 times in a row, whatever it was.
Listen, I want to make a bold prediction for this series in particular, Pain versus Red Canids, because like every time I've watched the Red Canids, it like even though they are dominating so far and they haven't dropped a single set, it always feels a little bit shaky. Every time I see them play, there's always some mistake that they make, and there's always something that makes them feel shaky. Either this series is going to be 3-0 Red Canids or 3-0 FURIA. That's my bold prediction.
Pain. Or
Pain, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
3-0 Pain, yeah. That's going to be my bold prediction, because it just doesn't feel... It feels like whoever gets the first game is just going to ramp up and ride the momentum throughout the whole series, and I'm still tempted to say 3-0 Red Canids. I don't know. They just feel, even though they do make mistakes, I don't feel like Pain are in a position to really punish them accordingly.
I say Pain 3-2.
Oh, you did not?
Yeah.
I did.
So I'm
wondering. I think Pain will come back, man. Like they have a longer track record of success still, right? Red, they still are in maybe Flash in the Pan territory. Look, I could be wrong. I'd be kind of happy to be proven wrong, because if you have Red just like, oh wait, they're just a raid boss now. That'd be really cool, but I do think that a stronger Pain is a stronger league, because you have again this super team that has had a lot of time and energy built into it, that from the beginning of this year, right from the end of last year, has been built up as the great savior. Right, they 2v2 killed Guma and Keria at Worlds. That like there's just no way they get taken out back and
I'm wondering if there is a fearless sort of problem for Red. We don't know this for sure, but I think they have been keeping to quite tight pools in mid jungle. Particularly, they have strong champs that they will go back to if no one stops them, right? Which is fine, you're allowed to do that. But if we're game 5 against Pain, and Kaze doesn't have any specialty picks, and now he has to be on like Talia or Syndra or something a bit simpler, something with a less outplay potential. If they can't find something like that is good and strong, and Doom as well, once we're off the usual crop, we've done Xin, Trundle, Vi, Wukong, and we're just kind of out of normal junglers now. Do we start to see the problems arise then? I feel like they might in those roles.
Maybe.
And I don't know if Rebello is enough to... If Rebello and FMB between them can carry them over the line at that stage. Dude, that's my worry.
The thing about Kaze is that the man plays champions that not every mid laner plays. We're talking about mid lane. When we talk about mid lane, we're thinking about these kind of mobile, kind of controlly mages when we think about it. Like Talia is one of the mainstays in the mid lane, obviously. Ahri as well. Azir has been massive in the mid lane these past few patches. So has Aurora. And then you see what Red Canids bring to the table. Man plays Sylas. The man plays Akali. The man plays Annie. And he plays standard, right? Annie, Talia. But then he pulls out the masterful Twisted Fate.
The man has person to win a game on Twisted Fate in 2025 or whatever. Yeah.
But the man has depth to him, I feel like he might surprise.
Yeah, that's so. What Pain should do, I think, is they should in their first 3 games should be like Azir, Orianna, Talia, and then if you're still alive, if you're still in it, then we see if we can dig deep and try and do something there. Because like I guess, I worry about it. Maybe it's just because it's Pain and it's still like we're still fresh on this red hype train, and I don't want to get too deep on it. I think I probably will take 3-2 Pain. Just because I worry about that game 5 for Red. They're either 3-0 or they lose 3-2, I guess is my takeaway for Red. Because they might just be the better team right now, and they might just sweep them out once again, and I'd be so here for that. But I don't think we're gonna see it again. I think that's my feeling anyway.
Man. Yeah, that's the state. So y'all, both of you think Pain are gonna take this 3-2, despite the fact that Pain have been struggling on the second half of the regular split.
Yep.
Fair enough.
I feel it. Yep.
Yeah.
I feel it.
Could not be, but I just this version of Pain, I think that to their credit, like I think there has to be questions asked about how often they get put flat on their ass, but when they do get put flat on their ass, they usually bounce back.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't often fall into a slump the way teams like Loud have in the past or Fluxo. Like they don't tend to have those massive runs of bad play. Okay, right. So let's take a look at some questions before we wrap up here. We actually have quite a few today. We've got some great submissions to go through here. Now, the first one is from Rev, one of our beautiful casters. Mentioning and referencing a thread that Peter Dunn put on Kaze. And now the kind of one of the things because obviously we can't put the whole thread in the picture here, and you can go and find it on his Twitter, is that it's they were scouting Kaze at the age of 16, 17, like for Europe. Aranea was scouting them for Europe back when this guy was just starting, but the risk was too high. They weren't sure if it was going to pay off. So people have been watching this guy since he was old enough to be a pro. He is now 19 and is one of, if not the most exciting thing going in the LTA South right now. So, and Rev's question is, do we think he is going to stick around and be the next big thing, or is it going to be a flash in the pan? And what's the peak we expect from him right now? And is Red the environment he needs to flourish, which is an interesting part of the question. Man. So, do we think he's going to be does he have longevity? Do we think that we've actually got long-term kind of value here?
From my experience, and I've seen this for years and years and years, because I mean, when we talk about young players, one thing you have to take into account is maturity as well. And maturity is fostered within the team and the environment that they're in, right? So these players, a lot of the times, they're hot-headed because they're the best in the world. They're being praised, and they see this praise, and they feel like they're the best in the world until they get a reality check. And that's when everything crumbles, right? The fantasy that they're the best in the world, after they get slapped in the face, it usually just crumbles around them. I've seen this countless times. Now, is Red Canids the team to actually foster this emotional maturity that a lot of players so desperately need? Like young, promising players. A lot of those raw diamond kind of players, you know? I don't know. Does Red Canids have the structure to do it? I don't know them well enough. But I feel like if they want him to flourish, it has to be from one of those environments.
If you'd asked us last split, the answer was definitely no. But 404,
absolutely not.
With talkers now,
oh no.
With talkers, it seems like there is a chance here for that to be the case.
Yeah. No, and again, I think it's too early to say, but look, talkers until, you know, kind of, you're talking about like the quote unquote golden age of CBLOL, right? The mid 2010s. Talkers was the best mid laner in CBLOL. He was on the most consistent teams, right? Talker, he played for Peter Dunn's squad, that INTZ squad in 2016, the Exodia team, right? And now it seems like he's playing an absolute blinder as a coach. So, I mean, it's tough to say because Red has historically been such an, not dumpster fire, because they do have 2 titles and they were consistently top 6. But they're at their worst, they were a dumpster fire. So it is tough to say, right? And how much, you know, we don't know enough kind of the business ops of like how much does management get involved with the League of Legends side of things, because they have other teams in other esports and stuff like that, right? So like you just don't know with like Horadini and like how hands off he's kind of going to be, because maybe this is kind of baseless, but I almost feel like the less involved he is, the better. If he just lets Talkers kind of do his thing, for sure, then you know they should be fine, right? Talkers is a mid laner, right? If he can round off the edges of Kaze, then I think it could be really special, right? Again, so short answer, it's too early to tell. Early signs are very promising, and I do think there is something to be said for the fact that he has played in a bunch of tier 2 leagues all over Latin America. So, you know, he has a lot of professional experience, right? He has a lot of that under his belt. The quote unquote structure of being a pro player, right? He has more of that than some of these flash in the pan laners that we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. He's got a bit more perspective under his belt. This is definitely the highest profile he'll have been, and we'll see if that kind of, what that effect has on that you mentioned, AC, if we do see any kind of problems with that, maybe over off seasons or after a tough split, we'll see if that happens. But I think that the team that we think of right now as being the best team to foster and especially, as you mentioned, build maturity and young talent, I think is FURIA probably right now, because they've actively done that. They did that. They're doing it with IE.
There's proof of concept
with Tatu, and Tatu especially. They're letting Tatu be himself, but when you listen to his interviews and at international, he is still can interview very thoughtfully and is articulate, and he's not just like, you know. It's not like
they gave him the proper training.
Like it's so that there is FURIA, I think, is the gold standard there. We've had high praise for coaches like Aoshi in the past. Obviously he is now on Loud, which again is trying to square building a mature team on Loud is a task. Oh, sorry, he's on Fluxo now, so he was not on Loud anymore. So he's on Fluxo.
He was on Loud for the beginning of the first
right, but
one.
Then they didn't. So probably should have been still, to be honest. I think that would have been cool, but sadly not. But Aoshi in the past on INTZ, we've praised his ability to improve young players quite quickly. So there are people and orgs and kind of coaches that have a decent record on it, but not a whole lot in the LTA South, I guess we can say. And Talker's still, it seems good now, but as you said, 404, it's early days, and we'll see how it lasts. If some adversity comes their way, and we'll see what happens with that.
Because that's a big thing, right? He went through all these tier 2 orgs and he smashed on every single one of them, basically. The first time this red org, and they will encounter adversity. That is the one thing CBLOL guarantees. LTA South, you will run into adversity. That's going to be the big question. If you can overcome that, then I think he has
probably going to play Mirio at some point. So we'll see how he goes.
Have fun.
Okay. Second question is basically on the format. So Luna Day is not a fan of the format, as not many people are, I will say, of the LTA format, especially Split 3. It's pretty confusing. The fact that we're having repeated matchups is generally not something that anyone tries to have happen. Generally, people want to have different matchups as often as possible to keep it fresh. The fact that you can kind of, you're picking your seeding, which does play havoc with strength of schedule tiebreakers, so it is pretty weird. And Rev's bouncing off the actual kind of question out of this, being what is the best and worst format that CBLOL has ever had. Now, my understanding, 404, you'll know maybe better than I, is that CBLOL was just double round robin best of ones into playoffs for a long time, but they didn't even have double limb playoffs, for a long time.
No, exactly.
So
and I think a lot of, for just all of the 2010s, I think a lot of the leagues probably followed a pretty similar format. Again, it's just like you play everyone once or twice, and then you get seeded in the playoffs, have fun. Yeah, exactly. So it's tough to say, but I do think this will go down as
did they not have a single round robin into single elimination playoffs at one point? Am I crazy?
Maybe when they were doing BO3s.
Maybe. Yeah.
Or I'll speak for that. That's definitely what LCS did. I actually don't know about CBLOL, but the point still stands is that it's a round robin of some kind into a single elimination bracket. It was really simple until the 2020s, and then we started getting freaky with the format. So I think this one will go down as one of the worst because again, it's just like it's a new format every goddamn split, and then there's my one. And then like and again, just the repeated matchups, right? I didn't really think about that, but I think you raised a really good point. I think this will go down as one of the worst.
Yeah. AC if you had to pick between double best of 1 round robin or single round robin best of 3, what would you pick?
You know, this format that we're on currently, the loser picks their adversary. It tickles the same itch that a creative jungler does. You know, when you see an odd pick like a Nurgot jungle, like, oh, that's a Nurgot jungle. Oh, I like that. I like this format because of the chaos that it brings. Is it healthy? Probably not. Probably not, but it's fun to watch from an outside perspective. Probably it's hell for the players and the teams involved, but hey, what can you say? Now, competitively speaking, obviously, when you have double round robin formats, it's always better to have the teams face off against each other twice. Get the team once in each side to get that skill expression. I feel like that's the ultimate skill expression. And if we're talking about proper competitive, we want to have that skill expression, right?
Yeah, pretty much. If I had to pick a best, I quite like double round robin, best of 1 into double in playoffs where everything's best of 5, right? Which is what the previous kind of format was last year for the last season of CBLOL. I think was basically that. Obviously, best of 5s all the way through playoffs and double in bracket. And we won't hash out my love of best of 2s again, but CBLOL/LTA has never done it before, so we don't have to.
BO2s are slept on. I will say that.
Yeah, I think they're slept on, but sadly they've never run it here. So not for this. I think like the double. I think it was like when they had 8 teams and it was like double best of 1 into single in playoffs.
Yeah,
just grim, just lame. More games, please.
Yeah. Well, I think now, especially that we have Fearless, like that kind of changed everything. You need best of series.
Yeah, it forces the issue, which is pretty cool. Watch
out for the time, guys.
Yes. Yeah. So let's get the next question, which is also from Rev. So the overreactions that he suggested a couple here. Feel free to do your own, but some suggested. We'll just take his suggestions here. A roster that we want to burn the whole thing to the ground. I don't know if I want to burn any of them right now. Even Fluxo, maybe.
I mean,
if
burning down Azurus would be a mercy kill at this point.
Oh, it's probably Azurus, actually. No, you're right, it's Azurus. No, you're absolutely right.
Burning down Azurus would be a mercy kill.
You put a fire retardant jumpsuit on Hauz Diodo and burn the whole thing down around him.
Man. No, actually, to answer 2 of the questions, burn the whole roster to the ground, do Azurus, give the player coach 50% of the org, give it to Hauz Diodo.
No, actually.
1 team, 2 answers.
Call it Jose Gaming, and then just give him all the budget and see what my man can do. To be honest. I think my this is fine is probably Lev, because I think it's fine, and everyone else thinks it's Flame's background, so... That's probably my one.
I still think it's Hauz Diodo.
I
still think it's Hauz Diodo.
I don't know if he thinks it's fine anymore. I think last split was Hauz Diodo was this is fine, but I don't know if he would agree it's fine. Maybe he would.
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, I think Hauz Diodo is the give them the whole org. I mean, shoot, give like I mean, I hate to do this to Red fans, but like, could you imagine like if we do actually the LLA super team and get like Jose and Kaze on the same roster?
Bro,
and just have like this just absolutely run you backwards.
If Doom ends up bouncing into a ceiling, which could still happen quite realistically, Jose's right there. Let's burn his roster down and just whoop. Let's get him over there. Yep. That'd be sick, bro. That'd be sick.
Oh, dude. Again, I want the LLA to be strongly represented because it is just way more fun. Like, remember all the smack talk we got in Split 1? Between like CO and Titan, and how we were like, oh my god, these two are just gonna like hate each other forever, and then one roster went in one direction, the other one went in the other.
Yeah, bit tough.
I think team / player to fall asleep to, it's Griffin, baby.
in a good way. Yeah, like it's Griffin. It is Griffin.
Hey, you just watch some masterful jungling. You watch Ambessi, you just go, oh, that's an interesting route. Oh, you got to max this first. Oh.
Vibes eternal.
And then you check his twitter.com, doom scroll it, see, pick up some Riz along the way and go to bed and then process it into your long-term memory.
It's great. Yeah, you make it part of your personality. Yeah. I think there's a chance the most cursed and simultaneously blessed timeline is now ISG gets relegated and Jose de Ozo leaves and joins Red. I think that's now a possibility that as much as I don't necessarily want to do Doom dirty unless he deserves it, which he does not yet deserve it, that would be pretty sick either way. Okay. I think there is one final question that I did take this one. Yeah, I did. Let me just add it on here super quick. It's basically, the question is from Shippy, but it's not been asked by us. RMC has transplanted the question that Shippy asked somebody else to us. Now, old heads will remember Shippy as one of our beautiful casters on CBL English in seasons past, but he's asked if you had to pick an LTAS version of Chovy in the LCK, Inspired in the LTA North, Doggo in the LCP. Basically, it's like franchise, this is the guy in this region kind of player. And asked who it would be this year, importantly. Because in many years, the answer is and has been Titan, but I don't think it's that simple anymore. And even, we can't even just say, Tattoo, because Furia just lost to Pain, and they're not even necessarily looking like the best team anymore, because Red is just blowing everyone out the water. So, I don't know.
So did you say this split or this year?
This year.
This year, I think it's Tattoo.
Yeah.
I still think it's Tattoo. Yeah, he has big face of the league energy, right? I think he represents the LTA South very well. He's very Brazilian in his kind of demeanor, right? I think he's a good, like you said, but his interviews are also like very kind of thoughtful. I think he's a good representative for the league. I think that when people look back at 2025, if you were to stop the year this year, when people were to look back at 2025, what are they going to talk about? Oh, that was the Furia year.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the time that Tattoo had the R9 haircut and went to Worlds.
Yeah. Incidentally, Shibby put Kana for the LEC, which has obviously irritated Rev as a European who thinks it should be caps.
That's hilarious.
You can all decide in the comments if you think it should be caps, but we're not here to judge Shibby necessarily.
His words, not mine.
Yeah. So yeah, I think if it can't be Titan because it would just be Tattoo instead. Like, for all the reasons it would be Titan, it would be more Tattoo.
Exactly.
And if it's in taking it like as just like best player as well, that's harder. And I don't know if that kind of becomes Gigo maybe. I feel like he might have played the best of anyone in the year. I don't know, AC. Do you have anyone that's like stuck out as like, this is, if we had to all get in line behind one champion in the region? If we could fall in line behind one?
I don't know, man. I want to say, like, I got really hyped about Redbird on his bike.
Redbird had a great week. Unironically.
Listen, I want to rally behind Redbird, but I feel like that's a little bit too soon to manifest.
Yeah,
it's a little bit too soon to manifest. But I'd be the first in line, homie. I'd be the first in line. That's all I'd say.
Strongest soldier, Redbird's strongest soldier. Right so I think Tattoo's probably a good consensus pick. I think that's probably it. And I think there's an argument for Gigo, but to be fair, when he wasn't solo killing Broken Blade, picking a terrible champion, he did actually get kind of ranched at the rest of International. A little bit harder than even the rest of Fury did at times. So I think Tattoo's a good choice. So we'll leave it there. That's going to wrap us up for this episode. I need to run out the door and go and get some dinner. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you, 404, for joining, as always. Thank you, AC, for joining on this first episode. We'd love to have you back at some point as well. And for everyone, we'll be on air at normal time, Saturday, Sunday, let's just quickly grab the schedule back up there as well. Saturday, Sunday, starting at 5 British summertime, so normal kind of noonish for local time, and then 9ish West Coast. So we will see you there. Feel free to follow us at LTA South on Twitch and Twitter and Blue Sky. And you can join our Discord to submit questions. We will answer them and read them out on stream. We will talk to you directly. We will discuss the league. You can join the Fantasy League. You can get involved with the LTA South if you like. Thank you very much for watching. We will see you on the stream this weekend. Peace.